KPOO.com. You're listening to On the Spot. I'm Harrison Chastang, sitting in for Donald E. Lacey. We just heard the late, great Jimi Hendrix talking about crosstown traffic. And if the crosstown traffic you've been involved with has resulted in you getting a ticket, there's been a lot of discussion about either parking or traffic tickets in California and the consequences of getting those tickets, to the point where it has gotten to the attention of the Chief Justice of the California State Supreme Court. And just this week, Chief Justice Tanny Cantel Sankoway said that she is seeking an emergency order to prevent the courts from requiring drivers to pay traffic tickets before they can go to court to contest them. The Chief Justice is asking the State Judicial Council to implement the rule change to make sure that the innocent are innocent until proven guilty, and that philosophy is applied to traffic court. The Chief Justice request comes at a time when there's pressure to reduce overall court costs and fees, particularly in traffic court. The state legislature attached administrative costs to the fines of most tickets that can increase the cost of a ticket by up to 500% or more, with another 300% increase assessed if a driver doesn't pay a fine or doesn't appear for a court date. The administrative fees were implemented at a time when the state was broke and to help raise revenue to prevent court closures and layoffs. But critics of the fees say that many people cannot afford the high fees and fines for speeding, jaywalking, and other minor traffic infractions that have resulted in millions of drivers having their cars booted, impounded, licenses suspended for not appearing for court dates, and losing cars because they are unable to have those car boots removed or to retrieve those cars out of impound. And one of those critics is Stephen F. Miller, who is founder and managing member of the Ticket Advocate LLC and co-author of a new book hot off the press entitled Get Dismissed. No Brainwork Required. It's that simple. Get your traffic ticket dismissed without going to court. And we have Mr. Miller on the KPOO Live Line. And Mr. Miller, I'd like to welcome you to KPOO. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Just fine. And I guess the timing of this book is fantastic, given what the Supreme Court Justice and many members of the legislature say needs to be a change in how the whole ticket system process works in California. Could you elaborate on what your book is all about and how it relates to this current controversy?
Well, the book is about how to contest a traffic ticket, and there's many ways to contest a traffic ticket, and we've been contesting traffic tickets for people for over 11 years, and we've helped over 100,000 people in California during that time. And the book really focuses on our new app that we released called GetDismissed, GetDismissed. It's on the App Store and the Play Store, and it helps people contest a traffic ticket without going to court. And we believe that what this justice is saying, we've been saying for many years, because it's like you're a criminal, and in order to prove yourself innocent, you have to post bail while they decide on your case, and then if they find you innocent, they give it back to you. Well, a traffic ticket isn't a criminal offense, and you shouldn't be required to post bail in order to have your day in court.
And many years ago, when I was attending L.A. City College, I had the experience of spending a little bit time in jail because I got a few traffic tickets, parking tickets, not traffic tickets, parking tickets. Didn't pay them, and they threw me in jail for 2 weeks. So it's the one and only time I've had experience with the criminal justice system. But that was 30-something years ago, when they physically put a ticket on your car. But we have new technology that's out there today where it's likely that you could get a ticket and not even know about it. Could you talk about this new technology of ticketing, which in many cases will put people in a situation where they had no idea that they have a ticket?
Yeah, well, there's lots of ways you can get electronic ticket. Parking tickets obviously is one of them. We don't handle parking tickets, so I don't have much knowledge regarding a parking ticket. However, these days I do know they scan your license plate, they know where it's registered, and they send the ticket to the registered owner, regardless if that was the person driving the car or not, and parking in that place. Now, there's other types of electronic tickets that everybody knows about, and those are the red light camera tickets, which many people feel are unconstitutional in the first place because there is no prosecution in that case. And you could be driving along and barely cross over that limit line, and it triggers that camera, and you get 10 days later, 15 days later, you get a ticket in the mail, and you never knew that you were getting a ticket. And quite honestly, more importantly, it might go to somebody who wasn't even driving the car. If you are the registered owner of that car and your son is driving that car, or your wife or your friend or something like that, you're going to get that ticket in the mail even though you weren't the one driving the car.
And let's talk about these fees that they've tacked on to getting a ticket. And I think a lot of people just go ahead, they get a ticket, and the ticket supposedly is $100 ticket, say, for running a red light. And whether or not you ran the red light or not, a lot of people assume, well, hey, I can't fight the court system. They will always believe an officer I'm just better off just sending in that money. What is the incentive for people to take the time and the effort to either try to fight the ticket or to implement some of the suggestions in your book to even avoid going to court for a traffic ticket?
Okay, that's a great question there, because there's a lot of different things. And you hit on something right there, and that is people's frustration. When they get a traffic ticket, they're so pissed off, they're so frustrated, they don't know what to do, and most of the time they just pay the ticket, or some people, just let it go, and then they get a $300 fine tacked on for a failure to appear, an FTA. Now, we believe that every ticket you get can be contested. Whether you win or lose is a different story. But every ticket, it's been around since 1978. There is a way to contest a ticket in California without going to court. It's called a trial by written declaration. And it's a way to contest a ticket in writing, an actual court case. And it's been around, like I said, for many years, but many people don't know about it, and it's on the back of every ticket. And the way you do it, you have to know what to say, and more importantly, what not to say, to build your case and maximize your chances of getting that ticket dismissed. And that's what we do. We help people contest tickets with a trial by declaration. That's what our book is about. That's what our app, Get Dismissed, is about, and our website, GetDismissed.com. And by doing that, it does a couple things, which are very important. Number one, you don't have to go to court. Number two, if you win and that ticket is dismissed, no point on the record, and the court returns the bail, because currently they do require you to post bail to contest a ticket, it's as if it never happened. But check this out, because this is really important. It is the only way in the California court system that you get two bites at the apple. If the ticket is not dismissed, then you're right back where you started at the beginning of the process, and you can still contest the ticket in court, have your day in court, because everybody is allowed to have their day in court, and or take traffic school if you're eligible for traffic school. So a trial by declaration is by far the best way to maximize your chances of getting that ticket dismissed, and leave your options open for the future if it doesn't get dismissed. And that's what we try to tell everybody to do, is a trial by written declaration.
And once you do decide to go court, I think in past years people figure, well, traffic cops, they're busy, they might have a day off, and I'll play Russian roulette and take my chances on whether or not the officer will appear. How common is it for the officer not to appear and to have your case dismissed?
Well, these days, officers all appear in court on the first trial. If you go to court to contest a ticket, it's probably a 90-95% chance that the officer will show up. They're paid time and a half, so they like to go to court. They'd rather go to court and make time and a half than be on the street doing what they're supposed to be doing. So they'll take the time to go to court. Whereas if you do a trial by declaration, it is paperwork for the officer. You submit your declaration to the court. The court sends it to the officer. The officer has to respond in writing. Now, officers don't like doing extra paperwork because they're not paid to do extra paperwork. And we probably all know sometimes they don't do the best paperwork. So what they submit to the court might not be as good of a response as they would if they were going to court where the judge just believes whatever the officer has to say. So you have a much greater chance of getting that ticket dismissed by doing a trial by declaration instead of going to court because the officer will be there.
You get a ticket and you weren't speeding, you didn't run past that red light, or that stop sign was obscured. Stop sign was obscured by a sign or by some bushes, and you have the evidence to prove that you were right. What should one do to gather that evidence and to make sure all their ducks are in a row before going to traffic court?
Well, whether you did do or didn't do what the officer is alleging that you did, there are ways to put a case together to maximize your chances. For instance, I'll give you a case. We, a few years back, did a ticket for a radio personality out in L.A., Bob McCormick. He has a show called Money 101 out here, and he was coming down an off-ramp, and I believe it was the what exit was it? Overland exit or something like that out here in L.A. And there was an officer that was sitting to the left of where he was getting off, and there was an overpass for the freeway. Now, he stopped at that limit line, crept up, and made his right turn. The officer pulled him over for not stopping. But here, the officer from where he was sitting could not see if he actually stopped before the line, which is what you're supposed to do. So we went on to Google Maps, for instance, and we showed where the officer was parked and where Bob's car was, and showed that from his position, he could not even see if Bob stopped or not, so the ticket was dismissed.
And let me ask you about the written declaration. Is that like a legal process? You have to fill out like a legal form to get that in the paperwork, in the system?
Yeah, it's trial by written declaration is a legal document, and it is two-page document with supporting defense material you add to it, your statement and what you put together. So it is legal. You do have to put a case together in proper legal format. You don't just write, "Hey, Judge, I didn't do what the officer said I was doing, so dismiss my ticket." No, you have to actually discuss the case, prove your points of law, and then conclude that you're not guilty of what the officer said you did. And those documents then are submitted to the court. Like I said, the court then sends it to the officer. The officer replies, if they reply, and sends it back to the court, and the judge reads your document, and the judge reads the officer's document, and then renders his decision. It's just like a regular court case, except it's done in writing. And what our book and what our app, Get Dismissed, does is it makes that whole process simple for you. It allows you to take a picture of your driver's license, take a picture of the ticket, answer some questions, and then the application automatically generates, I shouldn't say automatically because we look through it and put it together, but then generates the trial by declaration and supporting documents for you to print out and send to the court. So it does it all for you.
Is there a court fee to submit trial by declaration?
No, there is currently not a court fee to do that. You do have to post bail, and that's something that you were speaking about before that, this justice is trying to get away with, because posting bail is like you're a criminal and you get to walk free. So there isn't an extra court fee. You just have to post your bail while they decide the case, and then it's refunded to you if it's dismissed. And I will tell you, though, they do refund the bail 100% of the time when a ticket is dismissed. Some people are worried, well, if I just pay my fine with the trial by declaration, why are they going to dismiss my case? They got my money. They're not going to give it back to me. That's absolutely false. They give it back. We've seen it thousands and thousands of times. They give it back 100% to you.
And how far along is this movement to try to get these administrative fees knocked down? Because they were implemented when the state was really broke, but we got a state surplus right now. So is this serious about getting rid of these administrative fees, or is it just sacramental talk?
You know, that's a difficult question to answer because I've seen this for many years. This has been going on for a long time where they've been talking about it, and these administrative fees are out of control. I mean, every city, every county adds onto and tax onto the basic fine for a ticket. For example, a cell phone ticket is supposed to be like $29, $30, something like that. But the actual fine for the ticket, once you add the county fees and city fees onto the actual fine for your first cell phone ticket, it's $162. So there's a lot of administrative fines that are added on. And the reason that all this is added on, and I don't believe, actually, that they're going to knock this down, because the traffic enforcement fines and fees are the number 2 revenue generator in California. The number 1 revenue generator is sales tax. The number 2 generator is traffic fines. So I think even though there's a surplus in, the state right now, I find it hard to believe that they're going to take away their number 2 revenue generator.
And we're speaking with Stephen Miller, and he is co-author of the book Get Dismissed, No Brainwork Required. It's that simple. Get your traffic ticket dismissed without going to court. And Stephen is also the creator of the GetDismissed app. And before we let you go, what other advice would you have for people who get a traffic ticket? And that would include people riding bicycles, because I think a lot of folks who ride bikes believe that they are immune from being ticketed.
Yeah, actually, a bike is a traffic infraction also. You're absolutely correct. So you can get a traffic ticket on a bike. The advice I would have, number 1, is never ignore a ticket. Some people, like I said, are so frustrated that they throw it in their glove box and they forget about it and never want to deal with it. That's the worst thing you can do. Always deal with the traffic ticket. Never let it go, because if you do, there's a $300 penalty added on. And more importantly, if you hear anything else, contest the ticket with a trial by declaration. There isn't anything better in the California court system to contest a ticket with than a trial by written declaration. It will maximize your chances of getting that ticket dismissed.
And what's the website for Get Dismissed?
It's GetDismissed.com. It's that simple. GetDismissed.com.
All right. Thank you very much. I'm sure many of our listeners will get the app and get the book, particularly here in ticket-happy San Francisco. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
All right. 89.5 FM, KPOO in San Francisco, and KPOO.com. We've been speaking with Stephen Miller, and he is the co-author of the book Get Dismissed, and it's a guidebook about how to avoid court when you get a traffic ticket and what to do to deal with the courts. And as we mentioned, the Chief Justice of the California State Supreme Court is looking to change policies to require that if you get a moving violation or other types of tickets, you only pay those tickets after you've been found guilty in the courts. Right now, the system is set up so that you have to pay these fines before you go to a judge and explain your situation. And the Chief Justice says that low-income people who depend on their cars for work or to transport kids and senior relatives back and forth are the most likely to be victimized by high ticket fines and fees. It makes a bad situation of being a poor person worse if they don't have any transportation to work, or to take their kids to school, or to take elderly dependents to hospital appointments. So that's something that the Chief Justice sees as a important issue here in California. And once again, Mr. Miller's book, Get Dismissed, will let you know how you can do whatever you can to avoid having to go to court and to pay these fines and fees, particularly if you did not violate the law. Couple of ticks for 4:10 a.m. KPOO San Francisco and KPOO.com. And we're going to play some